Attention, citizens. It's time for Super Pulp Science.
This is Super Pulp Science, where we talk about how genre gets made. I have, returning to the studio after a long hiatus. No, that's not even it at all. You were on an adventure. Justin Curry, known the world over as Chasing Artwork, known in San Diego as the Slayer, I'm told.
Big cheese.
The big cheese of San Diego. Justin has returned to the podcast from
the Slayer with the big cheese.
Yeah. Dan Vadeboncoeur, our producer extraordinaire, is also here on the podcast. This is the welcome back episode for Justin. You have been away. In fact, I just walked in, handed you a coffee, and then we started recording the podcast. I haven't seen you.
Yeah, we didn't want to. We wanted to save it for the podcast.
We wanted to save it for the podcast. So let me say, welcome back.
Good to see you guys.
It's good to see you back here. We didn't clean up for you. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I hope the welcoming mess felt good.
It looks appropriate. It looks like what the studio should look
like. Like. That's good. And
piles of suitcases, orders ready to send out, piles of shame prints unsorted from conventions.
Dings and scratches, print piles, and oh my gosh. But I will say that you and I have had very different experiences. I'm fresh from a show also, and
which I'm really excited to hear about because it's like a show in Winnipeg that I haven't been to.
That's right. The first time in 15 years, the NASFIC, which is like the North American Science Fiction Association, held a convention here in Winnipeg. And I can't wait to tell you all about it. The difference between our two conventions, I'm sure, is great. A great gulf.
I was going to say I think they're completely on opposite ends of the spectrum.
If there is a spectrum, yeah. One of those spectrums could be attendance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When the doors open at Pemmi-Con, don't people run to grab the exclusives?
Pemmi-Con.
Pemmi. Sorry, Pemmi-Con.
See, you're mistaking the idea of the Pembina Trail, which you could name it after, for Pemmican, a joke at the expense of Indigenous people, which is what they thought they'd try instead as the name of their convention.
Yeah, I was confused about that.
Yeah. Oops, I think is what the only thing we call it. For the dear listener's sake, I think it's important that you know that Justin had a crazy idea. While he was away, he decided that what he would do in our text thread related to Super Pulp Science is just send texts that were prompts for conversations we'd have later. He's far too busy when he's over there to converse with us like a human person. Instead, he just would pepper our text thread with
things that didn't really make sense at the moment.
Yeah, just these little esoteric
especially at
kernels.
A 3-4 day show, you kind of forget what happens on the Thursday, or like that story that you want to tell on the Friday gets overshadowed by the craziness of Saturday and Sunday. So I thought this way would be kind of the breadcrumbs of the stories that I wanted to retell.
So then I started doing that too. And when I was looking through them again recently, I realized yours, when I imagine San Diego Comic-Con, I imagine grand adventures with each of yours. And with knowledge of how Pemmi-Con went, my prompts look like sad list. It's like a breakup letter almost as a poem.
I think I can picture your minds were moving at very different speeds in those moments.
Very different.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like Greg had a long time to think about what he was going to type.
But I tried not to type too much. So, dear listener, if you are just joining us for the very first time and you've managed to get through this wild ramble, Justin, Dan, and I are creative professionals, and we make up stuff for a living. We write, we illustrate, we hold events, we do all this kind of stuff. We try to use our creativity in a positive way, and it's part of our job. One aspect of that job is to go to public events like conventions. San Diego Comic-Con in the comic book world is one of the largest entertainment, expo, and conventions, but it has a long history of being focused on comics, which had recently been eclipsed by Hollywood. So I'm really interested to hear how the absence of Hollywood stars and the absence of Hollywood at this San Diego Comic-Con had an effect for vendors. I've heard some interesting things from other sources, so I'm going to cross-reference with you. And then the other kinds of conventions you can go to are what you might classify as a literary convention, meaning that it's more focused on panels and learning, and you'll have a schedule with lots of different rooms that you can attend. It's like taking university for 3 days or 4 days, in this case for Pemmi-Con, from authors, writers, scientists in this case. And then there's also a dealer's room, and it's just one other thing that you can do. San Diego Comic-Con, big Comic-Con, sort of make the dealer's room, the vendor space, the beating heart of the event. You have to pass through it, thread your way through it on the way to everything else. Literary shows usually do the opposite. They make the dealer's room, the vendor space, separate from that, so that it's just one other thing that you can attend. And that makes for a very different sort of traffic flow.
Yeah.
So
Tell us about that traffic flow.
what are we going to talk about first? We talk about Pemmi-Con or San Diego?
I think I have some direct questions of Justin.
And last week, did you guys talk about Icon? I missed.
We did
I'm
an
excited
Icon
to hear about
follow-up.
that. Yeah.
So you'll have to listen to that.
Yeah.
And then once you've listened to that, you can provide a counterpoint for Icon, because you had a good show there too.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
We have lots. But
So let's talk about setup at both the shows.
yeah,
first.
so let's, for a person who doesn't know what it's like to travel from Canada to the U.S. to do a show, let's lay that out in brief. The amount of preparation you have to do ahead of time, which I think is often overlooked when people are doing creative stuff. Oh, I'll just book a plane ticket, throw my stuff in my suitcases, and hooray, I'm at a show. Tell us what the reality is like.
So at least 6 weeks before the show, I need to have I have canvases, I have foil printing, and I have normal digital printing. Canvas printing takes the longest, so I need to make sure 6 weeks before the show, all my files are in, and that is started, and it's going to be, and it arrived like the day before the show started, so there was a bit of delay, so it arrived like just in time. The foil printing, specialty printing, that needs, at least 4 weeks as well.
So wait, 6-7 weeks out, and it was still just in time.
Just in time, yeah. Wow. And then like digital printing, I typically print on 12 by 18 cover stock, which is relatively easy to get and relatively easy to do. There's not a lot that I don't have trim or bleed or anything. It's a standard sheet, so I can get away with that like 2 weeks before the show. It's a large quantity, so they really don't like me doing it too last minute, but I sent most of it a month before the show, and then I had some last-minute pieces that I sent, like even a couple days before the show, and everything was done in time.
I'll just interrupt to say, for someone listening wondering how to do this, he doesn't have trim or bleed by design. He's separated the files to make sure that they fit this common paper size, so that there's nothing extra for the printer to do.
Yeah. So that was kind of the lead-up. There's also, with San Diego, with every Comic-Con, there's usually some kind of like an exhibitor package and portal that you get to. You can go and find your booth and set up information and load in information. All this great info for you as an exhibitor is somewhere on that site. In San Diego, there's a login to access all that. And then there's another login to access a bunch of other stuff for your California tax stuff, and to like check off that you're not selling adult material, and to check off that you're not going to have height so there's two portals for that. And then there's a third portal for moving your stuff in and out of the show, and how to do that correctly, and how to arrange all that.
Now, I grew up in the era of Skylanders. Both my kids like Skylanders. So every time you say portal, I imagine a wonderful adventure moment where you get to go through a portal to a new, exciting land. But
imagine a warren, like a maze of logins and passwords and dead links and angry emails asking you to find that one page buried 6 pages deep in that one portal that you were in to check. Oh my God.
So Administrivia was challenging many weeks ago.
It's messy. It seems to getting messier. I seem to recall when I first started doing the show in 2017, there was just one portal, and now there's 3 logins, separate pages to check everything off.
Is this because more and more people are taking a slice?
I'm not sure. I feel like San Diego Comic-Con is big, it's robust. They hired some consultants to help streamline things. And the consultants were like, we're going to build you this infrastructure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, where everybody has to create a login so we can get their information, and then we'll make them do all this stuff.
What are you doing here?
I have been waiting for you.
Oh, we've been looking all over for you. Are you all right?
Yes?
I'll take you home.
No. Take me to the mine.
So this is a lead up.
This
you have
is
not
a
even
lead up,
packed your
yeah.
suitcase yet. You haven't even decided which socks you're bringing.
Yeah. So that was like the weeks leading up to it. So I couldn't really take a sigh of relief until probably like a week and a half before the show. Everything had been sent off. Most things had been delivered. If they hadn't been delivered, they were like a couple days away. Everything was sorted.
Most people I know who travel that week before the show is when their anxiety begins. For you, that was...
That finally ended, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so...
What about the 4 weeks before Pemmi-Con? What was that like for you?
Well...
Was it on your mind at all?
I had received an email saying, you'll receive all of your important information on the following date. And that date was one day before the show was supposed to happen.
Perfect.
Because it was local, because it was happening here in my own city, that did not worry me. If I was flying there, that would have bothered me. But because, I can make anything work in my home city, and I know where everything is, and I know how to fix it, and I know who to talk to, and I knew the convention center.
You had
better
just been
than
at the convention
many of the people
center.
who were organizing
Yeah.
that show, so I provided them some information, some phone numbers, and some advice while I was there. So that didn't worry me so much, but the complete absence of advertising for it
Worried you?
worried me. The fact that when I would mention it to other science fiction aficionados that I knew, and like when you're a science fiction writer and you're a big comics nerd, it's everyone should know about the science fiction convention coming in, but nobody had any idea. Not a single
I had no idea until you told me.
Yeah,
about it.
and you're a reporter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I pitched that as a story to my boss, and I said we should cover this. This is the first time it's come to Canada. It's a big deal. And I said, okay, well, go and see what you can find. And I went and poked around there on the first day. I couldn't find much. I found a few signs taped up, but I couldn't find where anything was happening. It seemed very spread out, but it is. We should qualify that there was like kind of two groups at work here, right? There was like a local group that helped organize it, but also people who came from out of town to help with this.
Okay, so pardon my somewhat ignorance related to how the whole show runs. So I can give you my breakdown as far as I understand it on the outside, but it's a little more nuanced than this.
Yeah.
I am been told at length. But when WorldCon, the World Science Fiction Convention, happens, it happens every year, and it's usually in North America. But and each of those conventions happen in a different city every year, and the different cities and communities bid on those.
It's like the Olympics, right?
Sorry.
It's like the Olympics, except
Although I don't think anybody's bidding for that anymore.
that's right.
There goes Justin.
Make sure.
Apologies, yeah. So that was jumping ahead to the end of the show. I ship everything back to the studio from the convention floor. And so I knew I was probably going to get a call about like customs and arrangements for that. So I filled out like my commercial invoice yesterday, and they were just following up to make sure that the business is going to be open on Monday for them to drop everything off.
Bring it all back.
But it's sorted.
Deep breath.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to have a bit of a edit salad to put that in order there, but
Sorry
think-
about that. Well,
no,
that's
for the dear listener's sake, we were briefly
it's
interrupted.
gritty and real.
As
That's what
the
happened.
final details of San Diego Comic-Con came crashing down on Justin. But look at that smile. That's the smile of a man finished a great endeavor. All right. Okay, so what I was saying was WorldCon is normally in North America, like typically, but different cities and organizations and local science fiction groups and fandoms will bid. And
just like the
WorldCon-
Olympics.
Just like the Olympics, and it's a big deal, and they bring in thousands of people, and many of those people for WorldCon travel from outside of the country. A lot of people come from other countries to attend
Really?
WorldCon, so
Wow.
it's a big deal.
I want to add that this is the World Science Fiction Society is the
That's right.
overall organization, who is also the organization that creates or gives out the Hugo Awards.
Correct.
Which is the
Oh.
biggest award in science fiction. Like,
Yes.
if you win a Hugo, that is the ultimate accolade in science
And I
fiction.
will say that one highlight for me of Pemmi-Con was there was a Hugo that went to space. So one year they gave away
cool.
a Hugo from the International Space Station. So this little miniature Hugo that they had, which is a silver rocket. Just imagine a silver 50s style sci-fi rocket, like 50s science fiction style sci-fi rocket. Space program didn't start till the 60s. Okay. So was in the International Space Station, and they were letting people like see it and handle it, and like this has been to space and this has been there, and so it was, holding that little piece of history was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And it prompted me to dig out a work of art that I once sent to the edge of space. I have this canvas that I took off the thing and rolled up, and the physics department of the school I was at, we used to launch this balloon to the edge of the atmosphere. It would explode, and then the physics students would calculate the descent trajectory and then try to retrieve the package. And so I wanted to send some artwork to space and back. So
That's cool.
anyway, I digress because I am a huge nerd.
We're explaining what the overall. So every year it's in North America.
So when it's somewhere else, it was in China this year.
It will be in
Worldcon.
China in October.
Yeah. It was voted to go there. And this voting happens 2 years previously. So 2 years ago, people voted for it to be in China this year. And when the Worldcon is out of North America, they hold this NASFIC convention.
For the people who don't want to travel overseas.
Right,
basically.
okay.
Right? And so it's like a...
Your Consolation Con.
Yes.
Con.
Consolation Con. That is what they should
really
call
good.
it. So the organizers believed that there would be, maybe 3,000 people might attend this show.
But
They
a
had
very
it-
dedicated group, right? Everybody, it's kind of like the anime crowd. Like they're into it. They're really into their specific.
Yeah, their specific fandom. And there was between 600 and 800, depending who you talk to, there's between 600 and 800
So
people
not
who came from
quite.
out of the country.
Yeah.
That traveled all the way
Wow.
to Winnipeg to see to be at the show. And I believe those were basically the majority of the attendees were these people who were from out of the country. And the local population did not, I think, know about it, and so did not show up.
Yeah, this seems like it was mishandled. This should have been a big event. Sounds like
I was not on any of those committees, so I can't speak to that. But what I can speak to is that the people who ran the vendor area were very well organized. They were very well able to manage the needs of their vendor space. They knew what was happening and where it was happening. They had never been to the city. They had done some careful research. That email, that aforementioned email that was happening a day before, included a little picture plan of if you've never been to Winnipeg either, these are the things you should look for. And I don't know if they had someone on the ground doing that or if they had someone in the convention center doing that. But it was, this is what the entrance looks like, and this is where the loading bay is, and this is what I look like,
That's
so
great,
you can find me, and this is what this looks like. And it was, now, I live here, and I do this convention circuit all the time, so I knew most of this stuff. But from an outside perspective, it was for sure, we often talk about how Icon is so well run, and the Winnipeg Comic-Con is so well run. This was one of those details that I think every convention should adopt. A little picture hunt to let you know that you're on the right track. And there were little things like that. If you see this desk, you're in the right place. Relax. Everything's going to be fine.
That's good.
Right? You've made it as far as this. It was really kind of funny, and it was...
This sounds great, but I know for a fact both you and I do the same thing at every convention. We park outside the convention center and we walk in until we find somebody who looks like they know what they're doing, and we ask, okay, we're here, we're exhibitors, what do we do now?
Yeah, we
and
never bring the army to the battleground until we've seen the battleground
we
ourselves.
never read the PDFs they send us. We just always wander in and ask, where to now? How do we get our badges?
And this is related to the idea that no plan survives contact with the enemy, Dan, so... even though they may have planned it all perfectly on the day, it could just mean that one semi-trailer is stuck in the loading dock and now the whole plan is different, right? So you just have to go and make sure it's going to work.
It's just a Joshua tree.
Let's get out of here.
How many people attended San Diego Comic-Con this year?
I don't know the number count.
Let's
Probably
start
look it
like
up.
this.
Oh, yeah.
50,000? More. 75,000? More.
Let's ask Bing. I've switched to Bing, by the way.
Oh, really?
I'm not Googling anymore. I hate
Wow.
Google.
You're a has-been?
Well, yeah, that's right. And they've incorporated AI chat into this. So.
Oh, no.
How many people attended... What are you doing? Yes, I want it to be creative.
Oh. See, AI is ruining our podcast.
So,
How many people attended San Diego Comic-Con?
2023.
yeah.
It caught AI is ruining our podcast. It's responding to that.
Oh my God.
I'm going to see if I can Google it the old-fashioned way.
So last year, the San Diego Comic-Con was still, you had to mask, you had to...
By the way, that was something at this con you had to do. You had to mask at Pemmi-Con. That was a rule.
I didn't bring that up as a negative because there were so many international guests.
I guess so,
I
yeah,
thought
that's
that
true,
was
that's
a
true.
very smart,
I guess you're right.
And at San Diego as well, there was still quite a few people masked up. It was definitely a good percentage of customers or attendees.
We also
that
had to
noticed.
show our vaccine status.
Really?
That's right, yeah.
I haven't. I don't even know where that is anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I had it on my phone. So.
Well, luckily, I could search my phone by my own. I just looked up in Manitoba, by the way, dear listener, we were provided a QR code that linked to our vaccine status that we could show when going in and out of anywhere. It was like our vaccine passport. So I just looked up. Now that, speaking of AI helping things, now that you can search your camera roll based on things that are in the pictures, I just described what I was looking for and it found it for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Weird.
Sorry, my phone says I can shake it to send feedback. That wasn't working. So basically, it says here that the attendance at San Diego Comic-Con has been capped by space constraints for several years and is reported to be around 130,000. So that's every year. It's just 100 because it can't fit any more people in
There's
there.
just no more people.
I guess. So there you go. But was it like compared, like from your perspective, compared to previous years, busier, slower?
It felt about the same as previous years. Yeah, there wasn't, and I think that's like they cap it. It was the show floor is always like a fairly good sea of people. From my booth, you can see we're close to some like exclusive stores, so there's always a lineup within sight of like people lining up to get. This year it was the dumpster fire booth. It was like these little enamel pins of a dumpster fire that's smiling, and you can get like little vinyl toys of it. And every day people were lining up for those dumpster fire pins and toys.
That's the state of the world right there.
Yeah, they're really cute. I kind of wanted one. I'm not gonna lie. Another one. Tamagotchis are back. People were lining
Tamagotchis are
up for
totally back,
Tamagotchis.
yeah.
So it's the show floor felt about the same.
If you don't know what a Tamagotchi is, dear listener, it's a tiny digital device with a pixel animal that you have to feed and clean up after you may have one now.
Oh.
The studio now has
Did you
a
have
new
one as
pet.
a kid?
My sisters did, and I played with one. It was never a big thing for me. I remember them. I remember like fiddling around with one for a bit, but I would never like owned a Tamagotchi. So
my friends and I started a rumor in our school that there was a code that you could put in that would poison the animal. Like, you know, in
was
the
an
time
instant
of the
death.
like contra codes, right? We told people that if you like AABB select start a Tamagotchi, you could poison it. And so people wouldn't let us hold their Tamagotchis because they believed we had the death touch.
you had the instant death.
Yeah. So it is not true as far as I know.
The show floor was on par with other years. It was we kept asking people about like what was going on with the Hall H upstairs and Hollywood and everything like that. So it sounded like there was a lot less big panels to look forward to. You know, there wasn't the DC panel and the Marvel panel where they're announcing things. Marvel still had a very big presence there. They were promoting the new Spider-Man game. So they had a big booth there, and DC was still talking about some of its shows, like the Harley Quinn show had a panel and stuff like that.
Talking about anything but the Flash or Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
What's wrong with Blue Beetle?
There was still Blue Beetle stuff
it?
there.
Counting
Yeah.
it?
Is there controversy around that one?
Oh, well, I just think it's on track to be the least
It
profitable
looks
movie of the
so
year.
generic.
It does very much so, yeah. But I just was
I
wondering.
like the Blue Beetle, but
I like Blue Beetle a
Yeah.
lot, but it's like someone said, ooh, you know what kids like? They like Spider-Man. You know what kids like? They like Iron Man. What if we made those two characters the same character and put them in this movie?
And have them wreck a bus, just like they always have to wreck a bus in these movies. I don't know what they have against public transit.
It looks like they asked your Bing AI, "Hey, build us a trailer for a Blue Beetle
Oh, my
movie."
goodness.
That's right. All right.
So show floor looked about the same. I'm
Can I
this
tell
is
you
year
what I
5.
heard from outside through the social channels? Many actual comics guests saying this was their greatest year ever as a result of no Hollywood meant the number of people who had bandwidth left and money in their pocket left to go to comic book panels, buy original comic art, buy and support indie creators. Most of those creators reported like 2 or 3 times what they would normally do at a San Diego Comic-Con as a result of there not being Hollywood there.
This was also, my best show of all time.
Right.
So,
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. So take away the celebrities signing autographs, because that's
Yeah.
really what you're talking about. I mean,
Yeah.
I know they do panels and stuff, but they sit there. I've seen them. They sit there like an assembly line, basically signing all these things,
Charging
So
hundreds of dollars
yeah,
each one.
Yeah, for sure. So take that way that people have money to spend on other more meaningful things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
More meaningful to us. I'm
Well,
sure it's quite meaningful to those actors, especially considering that none of them are working anymore.
By choice.
Yes. Yeah. No, we're. Well, I am. I don't know about you two
I'm
scabs,
pro-union.
but I'm pro-union.
union. I don't want to. No, I can wait for there to be other stuff.
Yeah, so that was definitely a topic of conversation on the floor, talking about the writer strike and the actor strike and what that meant, and it came up often.
Congratulations on your best show ever.
Thank you.
That's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, it was. I had 3 helpers. So shout out to Angel, Ian, and Darcy. I had 3 boxers with me at the booth. So we
To protect your investment.
and all with 3 people, it was manageable, but we were always kind of stressed, stretched to the limit, of running around. With 4 people, it was much more manageable, and we had a great. It was the right amount of people.
Because I've done a 3-person show with you
Yeah.
at San Diego, and that was insane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
you, me, and James, year 1.
So would you say that, and this came up a conversation at Pemmi-Con I had about conversion. I spoke to Matt Drudry of At Bay Press, and he was there, and he said that something about the Pemmi-Con customers is that they were much more literary focused. He had much better conversion. Every second or third customer would buy something from him.
Oh,
did
here's the
that
thing I would
happen at yours? Would you have better conversion, or do you not pay attention to that? I guess it's happening so
for
fast.
interactions,
Yeah, would
how
you say
many?
easier to turn somebody oh, okay, I'll buy that kind of thing. Easier to convert them to a sale, or
It's pretty, the percentage is pretty high. If somebody stops, looks through the portfolio, spends time at the booth, they're usually walking away with something or coming back. I've hit that point at San Diego where a lot of the people who, the attendees, they grandfather in as well, which I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Attendees grandfather in at San Diego
way
Comic
to
Con.
keep your event closed off. to
Yeah,
everybody who wants to
yeah.
come.
Oh,
like-
don't get me started on closed off events.
Dude.
Let's come back to that.
I'll
Bring
come
that
back.
up later.
So it's a lot of people start the conversation with, we've bought from you before, or we've bought in the past. We're here to see what's new. So I'm at that point where the return customer is a big percentage.
So I think of attention at these shows as sort of 3 gates sometimes. So you tell me if this applies to you. I think this is a leading question because I think I know it applies to you. But I think of gate 1, they noticed you. You
Yeah.
can see the person, see your booth, and they're interested. Gate 2 is they've stopped. And they're still far away, but they've stopped to take in the backdrop and the banner and the art that's on offer. And gate 3 is they approach the booth, right? By the time they're flipping through the portfolio, their interest is clear. And you don't actually have to do anything to sell, quote unquote, to them because they already have.
Or at least you and I don't like to, at that point,
That's right.
push things.
All I was trying to get at was, even though you had your best year ever and the attendance is the same, that would seem to indicate that you had better conversion this year.
Yeah, better conversion, but also people I think had more money in their pocket.
Right, yeah, because they didn't have to spend it on
Didn't have
these
to
stupid
spend it on these other
celebrity
things.
autographs.
And they had more time because Hall H lines usually take a whole day to wait in.
There are people who spend the entire weekend in Hall H lines when
Yeah.
they go to these things, right?
Yeah. So, go ahead.
I've also, just at my booth in general, years ago when I was my products there's more expensive versions. Now I'm doing limited edition foils. I'm doing more canvases. I'm doing more larger format. So there's higher price points. So,
And if I could give you a shout out and also cast shade on some others, your limited edition foils are actually limited edition.
they're
foils.
actually hand numbered what they are.
Yeah, and when they run out, Justin will be like, "Oh no, I'm sure I had 2 left. I'm sure there's 2. No, they're all gone." Right? And when they're gone, he doesn't go, "Oh, let's just print some more and no one will be able to tell." He says, "I'll make some new art."
Okay. Seems oddly specific, but anyway.
You know who you are. I see you.
Blood on the truck. What happened? I cut my hand, see?
Wearing the business hat, it's like I absolutely love selling my art and being at these shows. And at a certain point, you just like we were really busy just selling. People were buying like almost too many prints at a time. Like I have these like great price points where you can get 9 prints at like a great deal. But if every year people are buying like 7 to 9 prints, how do you keep them coming? Like you don't want to oversaturate your market, right?
There's only so much space people have on their wall, and there's only so much attention they have.
So rather than making more reasonably priced I don't want to sound like I'm greedy here. Like more like I want to make things special and more of an important purchase than like, oh, that's a great deal, I'm going to grab it all.
Right.
I want to make that one item particularly great, so you're focused on the one item rather than the bulk deal, right? I want to be more of that.
And this is your artist heart
Yeah.
combating your business heart. Your artist heart wants people to recognize that the time and attention that you've put into these is special, and that just mass producing them is not totally of interest. It's somewhat necessary, but it's not really of interest. And so you have started to add, we both have started to add things into our catalog that are actually limited, actually rare, and when they're gone, and they are for the people who really appreciate those one of one or those one of 100 kind of things. And we're not, when we're talking about how much more expensive they are, so this is going from the $20 price point to the $60 price point. It's not prohibitively expensive if you are on a budget, right? But it's not nothing money at that point. You're not going to buy 4 or 10 $60 items, right? Well,
Yeah.
some do.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather sell, 5 canvases that somebody's going to hang on their wall and keep forever than 50 prints that may or
100%
may
true.
not
Yeah.
end up on a wall or just go into the stack of the other prints they've bought that year. Trying to make those items a little bit more special, and I love the limited edition aspect. What excites me most about that is the fact that once that's gone, I can't keep just reprinting it and relying on that old work. It forces me to make new things and grow and become a different artist. You can't just keep selling that print from 2007 over and over and over again.
It's like a comedian coming up with new material.
Like a comedian, yeah. So, although his art is no joke. Speaking of allowing things to grow at their own pace naturally, I would like to take a moment and speak with some annoyance at how
We're getting to the
shows
complaining
like,
part. Yeah.
say, a WorldCon or a KeyCon or a Pemmi-Con tries to build their audience. This is by becoming a member of the society. This costs, between $200 and $300, depending on your conversion rate. And now you are a member of the society. And
It's like a membership?
Yeah, and only if you are a member of the society can you then attend the event.
Yeah.
And
That's how they frame it.
So what this means is someone who hears about this on the news or hears about it on social media, who looks up how to attend the show, wants to just come for a couple hours because they have a couple hours. Now they have to spend hundreds of dollars for those couple of hours.
So there wasn't like just a day pass?
There were.
Day pass was $90.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's aggressive.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like San Diego Comic-Con isn't even that expensive, right?
I don't think so. No.
And
What are you getting for this 90?
Well, access to the panels. Like they had some pretty good speakers, I would say, and there was some excellent programming. But it did seem pricey to me for what you got, right? Compared to what you get at other cons for less.
Here's the thing.
Right?
It's 100% worth it to be a member if you're going to be there for the whole time. If you are going to be on site for 4 days, taking in this as a learning experience, visiting author talks, visiting scientists talking, visiting working paleontologists talking about their craft and how that applies to how you could do it in fiction. There was a lot to learn. But you also were committing now 4 days of time. People don't have 4 days of time to make a $300 pass worth it, I don't think, in the casual. And the other thing I will mention is I counted on my hands 6 people under the age of 18 there.
Right. There's
in the entire
yeah.
event. And one of them I brought.
You're responsible for the creation of one of them.
Right. And so there is no new blood coming into a show like that.
Yeah,
There's no
that's right.
casuals.
So,
Now, here's the flip side. Very slow show, foot traffic-wise, but these were readers. Like typically in an event, in a show, I may do 30% of my sales might be books and 70% will be art.
I was going to
This
ask
is a
about
complete
this.
flip of that.
Yeah.
70% books, 30% art, and of those books, these were people who would not buy one book casually. They would buy the whole stack of the entire, and I have a lot of books. And they would just say, okay, this looks interesting. I'll take this, and 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 maybe this. And then I'd say, one more is just $10. And then I'd say, okay, here's 3 more, right? So these were
Dream
readers.
customer.
So they were readers, and they were interested in filling up their suitcases with heavy books to take home to read and peruse and think about and digest. So while it was slow, like as far as customers per hour, the individual customers were
There to
there to
purchase.
fill up their suitcases with stuff that they wanted.
Let me ask you, when I think of a book convention, I don't think of particularly impressive displays, but when we look at your display, it is the ziggurat, as we lovingly call it on the podcast.
So when I arrived,
did you get some sideways glances?
yeah. So when I arrived, I wheeled up everything and I met with the people who were running the show, and they're, I think, pretty private. So I'm just not going to name them, not because they did anything wrong. I thought they did everything right, but
Sure.
just the sense I got was that the way the committees run at their shows, they want to be kind of anonymous and just do their good work. So those people, if you are listening, I thought you did a great job running the vendors table and area. But when I came in, it was clear that they weren't used to the kind of setup I do, because most people just put their books out on the table. And here I had a corner spot. I had 3 tables. So really it worked out to like 5 tables worth of space, the way it was
I
organized.
couldn't even see him when I walked in there, to be honest.
Right.
He was hiding behind his display.
And because it's local.
Did you have a back room?
You know the rule. I could have, but you know the rules of a local show. Bring everything.
Bring everything.
So I brought everything. And as I was setting up the backdrops, the person organizing the show floor said, "Oh, you have backdrops." And they said, how high do they go? I said, how high do you want them to go? And they said, well, if it's higher than 8 feet, you were supposed to notify us. And I said, oh, well, I'll keep them
Cap
under
them
8
at
feet.
8 feet,
No
yeah.
problem. They adjust. So
Yeah.
I'll bring them down to 8 feet. And they were still kind of a little nervous. And I was trying to figure out what was upsetting them about the whole notion. Because I was sort of on the cap, so it'd be the first thing that you'd see when you came in. And I thought, like, this is a great spot. And they said, well, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask everyone who's in your shadow, like everyone who's behind you, who you're going to obscure, if they mind that those banners are there. And if they mind, I'm going to move you to a wall so that you don't block anyone off. Is that okay? Like, that's the most reasonable.
Yeah.
Right? That's perfectly reasonable. And
And then you can counter. If you move me to that wall, I get to go as high as I want.
as high as I want. Yeah, that's exactly
Yeah.
that's exactly right. And so they went around to the people who were going to be behind me and asked them, he's going to put up a banner. Do you mind if he puts up a banner? Is that okay? I thought this was like so pleasant and so thoughtful to the other people. And because they also had this place to put me, we're just going to move you on this wall space and we'll give those people this space. There will be no fuss. And they did it before I set up.
That's great. Yeah.
Which was also really
Because
nice.
usually they wait until you're 90% done.
That's right. And so, no, everyone said this is great. And Robert Pasternak, Knack, if you know him, from Winnipeg, he was also there. He was like, no, let him fly the flags. It brings people towards us. It's great.
What was that?
A meteor. One of the biggest.
Were the other vendors like familiar faces? Like, they're locals?
The only
No?
locals, there was a couple of locals, but it was mostly people that were not known to me. So that part was nice. And then there was a bunch of people who were doing bids for other
yeah, there's a whole
Worldcons.
section for other, like, people from Africa, people from all over the world coming
Wow.
for these bids. And that's like everybody who's part of this, who's a member of this society, can vote on the next location of the Worldcon.
on the Worldcon.
So,
votes,
but the Seattle bid was going unopposed for 2025, so
Right.
it might be in Seattle, which might be a fun con.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was by accident or by design, but they made sure they did not let anyone know when the voting took place.
Oh no, it's at
Oh.
the next at the next Worldcon. So you have to what they were doing. The guy explained it to me. The Seattle guy.
Okay, perfect.
He said they're selling memberships, i.e., tickets. I think of these as tickets. Like a membership is a ticket to an event. So they're selling memberships for Worldcon in Japan. Was it Japan or China? It was in China. So they're selling tickets for that and encouraging people at that event to vote for Seattle. That's what they were doing at our convention. So you had to buy tickets, go to Worldcon, and vote at Worldcon for Seattle to win.
So if you really want to be part of a bureaucracy, you can join one of these science fiction societies.
But this is what you're talking about as far as it being a closed-off event. It's not very open. So what would you suggest they do differently? Because they are like KeyCon and this NASFIC are imitating Worldcon, which is large enough that they can do this.
Yeah.
They can have a membership. It's a worldwide organization. They can get enough people. But at this level, at the local level, you're not going to get enough people at your event. So what should they do differently?
12 and under get in free.
That's a standard in
Exactly.
Winnipeg. That's just a standard.
Yeah, but that's a great way to do it. But the other thing to do would be very simply to recognize if what you want to do is have a group of committees that are going to run things and plan the programming and do that carefully and make those voting members, right? If you care enough and you're be a voting member, great.
Yeah.
Then have a casual price point, right? The voting member is supposed to give you power within the organization. People who just want to visit are not interested in power in the organization. Have a $20 ticket, have a $30 ticket, have a free, make it free for everyone to attend, and only people with full memberships can attend the keynote.
I feel like I should get like a swag bag or a free book or something along with that. That's a pretty expensive ticket just to get access to a convention.
It's an initiate level, right?
Yeah.
It's like, here's the opening. My favorite YouTube channel does this with their, like, get them a chance to see what it's like, right? Because they're not going to just blindly pay that money, especially here. But also, the other issue around it is marketing, which is something that San Diego does not need. They are a worldwide event. They're going to sell out every year.
People want to be there, yeah.
You have no problem selling tickets to San Diego Comic-Con, whereas here, this is a new event. First of all, it's not going to come back, so you have to build an audience.
Yeah.
I've learned that the hard way. And so you have to let people know that it's happening, and so the marketing becomes an issue. But it's so difficult to market these kinds of events. You don't even know where to go. Our advertising industry is in such a mess right now.
Yeah, for sure.
You have no idea what advertising is effective, how you're going to reach your audience. Social media is not enough.
No,
if they were just counting on their Facebook posts and their Twitter posts to reach their audience, that is not going to do it. I'm sorry. Those companies are a mess right now.
Yeah.
I would not count on that. I would go, if it were me, I would go more traditional, bus benches, billboards. That kind of stuff is not that expensive these days, and you would reach a large amount of people just by having that be visible.
Well, the other side of it is these were readers too, right?
Right.
And
So
I was at an event at the Millennium Library 2 blocks away. So on the Saturday, I taught 25 kids how to make comics.
That's cool.
For 90 minutes. It was amazing. The convention that is doing a great job of all those things you're talking about, the Prairie Comics Festival. Shout out to Samantha Pico for arranging me to go and do outreach on behalf of that festival at the library for young people, where it was free for them to attend, right? The library, full, by the way, of books, had no idea this convention was happening 1.5 blocks away.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's a problem, yeah.
Right? There wasn't even a poster for, this is a readers convention, and the readers of the city who love to consume books and books did not even know it was happening.
Yeah.
So
that's a shame.
I think you have to know who your people are and know where they are, and then go to those places and let those people know, and have, especially if you're going to ask people for money, have value associated to that.
Yeah.
Like, have actual value associated to that ticket price that is not like, well, come in here and now you're one of us. That's not value.
No, and it's people are just not going to trust that right off the bat. Like, you have to build the trust over several years. A one-off event, sure, you could build on the strength of the World Science Fiction Society. That will have some relevance here, but you have to let people know. Again,
It was huge. I speaking of social media, I put a little post where I was in front of the banner for the World Science Fiction Society. People went crazy. People I knew, my other reader friends were like, "Oh my God, where are you? What city are you in?"
They're just assuming that you've traveled for this. Yeah.
Right? That was sad. That was a sad indictment of the reach that communities believe they have versus the reality. And you have to, as if I'm some authority on this. In my humble opinion, if you're going to have an event that's going to take place over days, you have to have a way in which people can check it out for an hour on the first day or two to see if they want to come back the day after. By counterpoint, the weekend before we were at Icon, my kids came the first day to Icon they were like, we'll help you set up. That was a lie. They just wanted to be at Icon.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
So they came to Icon. They were there for like an hour and a half. They came running back to say, we have to come for the whole weekend. This is happening. This is happening. This is happening. This is happening. They were handed a schedule that was like young people friendly. They knew what was there, and I said, "Okay, great. How much is this going to cost the Bank of Dad?" And they were like, "No, it's included in our ticket price, Dad. That's the best part. We can do this, see these movies, do this stuff, go. It's all part of our regular pass."
How many free Gundam kits were there available for?
1,000.
Yeah.
Right. So, what I'm saying is, they came back every day. And they bought food from the vendors. They bought stuff from the other attendees. They were there spending their own money, right, their own budgeted summer money on every other booth as a result of this quote-unquote free programming. The added value. I was all in. I was like, yeah, you can go see all that free stuff, right? And you want to spend your allowance on these other things? What a great 3 days. There was nothing comparable to that at this convention.
Let me see you as you really are. What do you want? What are you doing?
We are repairing our ship to leave your world. We need your help.
Things I really liked about it, though, is when the show was done, by the way, I mean show, I mean when the vendor area closed, they were still programming at from 5 o'clock all the way to 8 o'clock. So rather than disappear, I stayed and went to a number of these panels.
Well, I think that's true of most conventions. We just are usually
vanish.
Dead to the world.
Yeah, dead to the world. But most of the conventions that we're at, they're usually pointed at promotion of a product, even if they pretend to be a discussion about something. It's everybody's new book is like what they're all about. This one really was, or had the constituent parts of people who were ultra knowledgeable about the topics they were discussing, sharing that knowledge and fielding questions from an interested group of people in the halls. And it really was. It felt like being at school. Now, if school could have been the history of automata in mythology literature, which is one of the ones I attended.
Yeah.
That's
almost
like
right up your alley.
A 2-hour session where they cited their sources and showed all the different places clockwork people have showed up in literature and mythology. I could not have been more excited. And same with all the rest of the people there. But like casuals are not going to come to that.
Well, they don't know what it is until they sit down and experience
right.
it, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's exactly
That
right.
was a result of Hollywood kind of pulling out of the San Diego as well. Somebody was saying that all the smaller panels were way more packed than usual, right? Like all those indie book makers, all those new time comic makers, like they were getting the crowds at their panels that were usually, kind of spottily attended.
And I heard a couple of people, we were talking about how Scott Ford did his Kickstarter for Hologram Hunters and had an end on the convention date. Mm-hmm. A few people that I was following that were at San Diego Comic-Con did that also. But they started their Kickstarter campaigns at San Diego. Mm. And by day one of San Diego, with just people backing it as San Diego attendees, crossed their finish lines within 10 hours.
Wow.
People who were, and what they were responding by saying, their most repeated comment was, well, I would normally spend this money on an autograph, or I'd normally spend this money on a ticket with, to see a so-and-so, or to get my photo taken with, a Doctor Who. But since I'm not, I'm going to back this other thing. I'm going to support the community. And so,
Seems like San Diego did just fine without Hollywood.
Yeah.
Let's see if Hollywood does okay without San Diego.
Well, and let's face it, San Diego is one of the few shows that still calls itself a comic.
They've trademarked it for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Right?
I did want to bring up, there was a note on my phone about this, and I started calling them in my head. There were quite a few number of hollow booths.
Oh.
And what I mean by that is some company with a lot of money and not a lot of product or creativity buys a huge spot on the floor just to promote one thing, and not promote it with passion or gusto, just like we have a big presence at the San Diego Comic-Con and we have the one thing. So they'll have like this 10 by 20 corner booth with a huge dye sublimation cloth backstand that's stretched across this huge wireframe, and like pamphlets of it along the booth, and then 4 guys sitting on their phones.
They just paid for a billboard.
They basically paid for a billboard and
What is,
workers.
like? Can you give us an example of a product that they were selling?
This one was for, it looked like just a graphic novel.
And
But
they
it
weren't
was,
actually selling it there. They were just like
no,
letting
they
people
weren't
know about it?
selling it there. They were just promoting it there. They had like posters for it or something. So maybe it was coming.
Wow, that does seem like a
And there was
waste of money.
another one for, it looked like kind of like a webcomic reader of some kind. Like download the app, you can read comics for free, like a webtoon competitor kind of thing. But the booth just was like this huge corporate billboard with nothing to it other than...
Well, I guess that's what it is, right? At a certain point, when you're playing with that kind
okay,
of money,
so
you can
here's
just write
my-
off that as an advertising expense and take your $25,000 that you spent on your booth and just throw it away.
But my problem with that, my beef with that is San Diego Comic-Con is so hard to get into because you save so much money to grandfather in. So if you're getting like $1,000 booth, if you rebook that booth for next year, you save like $500 and something. Like it's a substantial savings. So
Especially to an artist, this is like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So nobody, even if like, this wasn't a great year, but it's extremely hard to get in a booth at Comic-Con. And we are constantly surrounded on the road by really talented artists and bookmakers and creatives that are like just dying to get a booth at this show. And so it really, it hurts me to see so much of it taken up by like just these hollow booths that like,
Like
could
most
be.
things in life that I enjoy, this reminds me of Star Trek. And there's a moment in Strange New Worlds in season 1 where Uhura is explains that, getting into Starfleet was easy, but she doesn't know if she wants to stay. And Spock looks at her and says, like, for some people, this is their life's ambition, their dream, the only thing they've ever wanted. So if this isn't the only thing you've ever wanted, and you stepped over thousands of people who want it to be here, maybe you should be somewhere else, right? I mean, it's a great plot point because we don't want her to be somewhere else. We know she shows up in original series. We want her to stay. But that's it, right? Like, why are you there if you're not going to give it your all? This is a place where someone like Chasing Artwork can give it their all.
Yeah, maybe, but that's just their bad marketing decision, right? They just don't know what to do with the space. They know they need to be there. They know that their audience is there. They just don't know how to engage with that audience, and that's a shame. But you also don't like the big bank booths at cons either. You don't like the Royal Bank stuff either.
Oh,
the
God.
That one
kind of
really struck me as.
But what about
as
like
horror.
I've seen car dealers with a big like they like paint a car to look like they had one a Jurassic Park Jeep one year. I don't remember, something like that.
At
They
least
always have
try. At least like they're tipping their hat to fandom. You're gonna paint it like a Jurassic. A Jurassic Jeep, I'm in.
All right.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you're just like, this is the new Toyota Corolla.
Yeah.
Want one? Yeah. Like,
no.
right?
And so what a lot of these booths are after is when you get your San Diego badge, it has like a little chip reader thing in it. And attached to that is my name, my age, my address, and my email. And so you go to a lot of these booths and they'll have something free to you. There's a free lanyard, there's a free sticker, you just have to tap your badge and we will give you a free
See our episode
whatever.
titled Free Lanyard.
Free
Wow.
lanyard. Yeah.
Sorry about this.
It really streamlined that process.
Yeah. So you're going around just giving away your information to these big companies in order for this like free lanyard and
I totally make a fake profile so I could just.
You can't though.
You
You
can't.
can't get access to your badge without getting your.
With
It has to be whatever you get. It has to be your real email address so they can email you the ticket.
and if your ID doesn't match what you put in when you get there, they're not giving you that badge.
they
Yeah,
gotcha.
they gotcha.
Yeah. There was who was it? A famous author. Man, this was a story from the year that we went, that first year we went together for your booth. I was behind them in line, and they were like, no, it really is me. And they're like, well, there's a space here that isn't in your, this looks like it's your middle initial. And they were like, no, it's my actual name. Look, here's my book with my picture on the back of it. Here's my booth with my picture on the booth. Can I please have my pass? And they're like, I don't know. It doesn't match. It's got to match. Right? So you're not going to be able to sneak through with your old Hotmail address.
Yeah.
I guess not. Damn it.
Right?
All right.
So I'm so glad that you have returned. I'm glad also that we had varying experiences, because that is what makes a rich world, is these varied experiences. I'm also glad that I did attend Pemmi-Con, because it did give me an insight onto the other side of showland. I've done San Diego Comic-Con enough times to know what I was missing, and I hadn't done this one, and it came all the way from another country to be in my city, and so it felt like a good thing to do. And in the midst of a tumultuous time in my life, this was a good show, a good choice for me as a family man. But I did have a fair amount of FOMO, I have to say. Yeah.
This is really Justin texting interesting things.
Texting interesting things. So I'm sure we will discuss more vagaries of these things as subsequent episodes come out.
Yeah, there's a couple things that I'd like to spend a whole episode on, like things that came up with other artist friends that I think would be good to talk about.
Yeah, we were talking about a particularly good one there. Yesterday. So I look forward to that. If this is your very first episode of Super Pulp Science, what we usually talk about is how genre gets made, but we also dig down into the vagaries of how the creative life exists on top of that pyramid, that glacier of business, and how it floats the seas. So join us for new episodes talking about how we make things as well as how we get them out into the world. I'm GMB Kamichuk, encouraging you to join the fight and make comics.